everyone, and welcome again. I'm Blair Schleicher-Wilson. I'm the CEO of Mars Habitat for Humanity, and I will be one of your co-chairs for tonight. I'd like to thank you all for coming to the launch of Mars Area Together. As we're gathering, there's some quick ground rules for tonight. Most of you probably have been on Zoom, but please keep yourself muted. And if you're not already muted, mute yourself. But we do want to see your face. So if you can, keep your camera on. We expect over 600 people to be watching us tonight. I think we had over 800 registered. We know that we've got folks watching us in small groups. We've got people watching us with their families. We've got people watching by themselves and people listening by phone. But through it all, I'd like to thank you all for coming tonight and hearing our launch. Maria?
Thank you, Blair. Hi, everyone. My name is Maria Vargas. I am a pastoral associate at St. Margaret of Scotland Roman Catholic Church in Morristown, and I will be your co-chair for tonight. For those that came in recently, just remember we are going to have consecutive simultaneous translation in Spanish. Carol Ruiz will be doing that translation, and she's a member of Wind of the Spirit. So if you need translation into Spanish, please click in the icon at the bottom of your screen. Well, tonight we are going to announce Mars Area Together as a new powerful coalition ready to act in Morris County and address the issues that matter the most to our communities. We are going to hear about the work we have done to get to this point and the hard work ahead. And we are going to hear commitments from public and corporate officials to work with us. But we know the work ahead will be difficult. We are going to need more than words and commitments. We will need action. And we hope and pray that tonight will be a real beginning. So let's get started. I would like to bring up Reverend Bonelson to open us in prayer tonight and to introduce our opening video. Bo?
Thank you, Maria and Blair.
And company.
Yes. With me is my brand new son Philip. He's gonna be a month old on Friday. Born at Morristown Hospital, and thought it was fitting for him to be with us tonight, since what we do here is going to affect his life from the day he is since now until throughout his entire life. And I'm actually on paternity leave still, but I wanted to come on for this. So let us begin. A verse from 1 John chapter 3. Little children, let us love, not in word or speech, but in truth and action. So let us pray. Holy One, the day is here. This day that has been long anticipated by so many of us. This public launch of Morris Area Together. And it's all because of you. You have been at work through minute little actions, seeds planted several years ago, to the work that has now been brought to life, and all the work that is yet ahead of us, that you have laid before us. Lord, there have been many words spoken, many powerful words spoken, many words of promise spoken. Tonight is not just about words. Tonight is about action. That all of us gathering here tonight is an action, that we are taking action to make things happen. The world that you are bringing about is happening through what we are doing tonight. And so we ask your blessing upon this gathering. Bless every single one of us who are here tonight and inspire us to do all that you would have us do. Bless all those who speak tonight, all those who hear, so that we might not just be hearers of the word, but doers. All this we pray through all that is holy, in your name. Amen.
Amen.
So now as we get started, we want to share a brief video of our member organizations that are here on the call tonight and the power that we have built together. Normally we do this in person, people sharing stories, but we hope this does the trick.
Hi, my name is Vern. We represent the Presbyterian Church in Morristown. Our vision statement is community that matters. Today we're excited to join 100 members of our congregation to support Morris Area Together. Thank you. Yay!
My name is Father Reverend Arias, and I'm the proud and joyful pastor of St. Margaret's Church here in Morristown. We are a very diverse community centered on the celebration of the Eucharist. We are part of the Morris Area Together. We are 40 people, and we are happy to be part of this project. We pray that our work, your work, will truly become a blessing for our community.
Good evening. My name is the Reverend Nicolette Saragusa, and I am the pastor of Brookside Community Church, United Church of Christ. We are an open and affirming congregation who believe in the dignity and worth of all human beings, and we are delighted to be a part of Morris Area Together. Tonight we have with us 10 members of our congregation.
Hi, we're the Church of God in Christ for All Saints, Morristown.
Our church vision is inviting people in to experience God's power to win at life.
We are happy to announce our partnership with Morris Area, New Jersey Together in their mission for
housing,
mental health,
criminal justice reform.
we believe there is
power and unification.
Amen.
I'm Cynthia Black, rector of the Church of the Redeemer here in Morristown, a congregation of feisty social justice seekers. We have 20 members of the congregation present here tonight, but the entire church is here in spirit.
Hi, I'm Blair Schleicher-Wilson, CEO of Mars Habitat for Humanity.
I'm Hannah Oppenheimer, Advocacy Coordinator at Mars Habitat for Humanity. Mars Habitat for Humanity builds strength, stability, and self-reliance through affordable homeownership opportunities for lower-income families.
And for over 36 years, Mars Habitat has been the area's leading advocate and builder of affordable homeownership and affordable repair programs.
We are so excited to be part of Morris Area Together's virtual public launch.
And I'd like to say thank you to the 20 Habitat supporters joining us here tonight.
Hi, we're Allison and Marty Schwartz.
And I'm Art Zinn from Good Shepherd Lutheran Church in Florham Park, New Jersey.
Good Shepherd is very involved with social ministry and the care of others.
I'm glad Morris Area Together is attacking the problem of affordable housing in New Jersey. 2 of my 3 children had to leave the state because they could not afford to live here.
Oh my gosh. We're delighted and proud to be part of Morris Area Together, and we have 20 members present tonight.
Good evening. I'm Reverend David Hollowell of the Calvary Baptist Church in Morristown, New Jersey, and I bring you greetings on behalf of our senior pastor, Dr. Jerry Carter Jr., as well as our officers and members of the Calvary family. We've been a part of this community for the past 132 years, and needless to say, we're very concerned about the direction of our town and our county as we move into the next century. And we look forward to working with you in this very promising endeavor.
Here at Temple B'nai Or in Morristown, we are excited to be a part of New Jersey Together. This is just a small representation of our congregants who are ready to make a difference in our community.
Hola, somos Viento del Espíritu, somos una organización que lucha por los derechos del inmigrante. Trabajamos para los inmigrantes documentados e indocumentados.
Y por eso, este lunes 10 de mayo, 80 personas de nuestra comunidad estarán presentes para este nuevo lanzamiento porque nosotros creemos en derechos justos de vivienda para todos. And that is why this May 10th, 80 members of our community will be joining us for the launch of this campaign, because we believe in just housing rights for all.
Hi, I'm Maureen Grant, and I'm here with my colleagues from Voices for Racial Justice. And we're so happy to be here tonight and so delighted to have this opportunity to meet with all these wonderful people and to get all these great ideas.
Hi, I'm Dee Clicker.
And I'm Gail Shepherdson.
And I'm Gwyneth Munn.
I'm Kathleen Carosa.
I'm Roberta Mosley.
And I'm Vivian De Los Santos.
And we are part of the team from St. Peter's Church in Morristown. And we are zooming in to say we are happy to be involved in New Jersey Together, Morris area launch. We are excited that we are advocating for people in Morris area to help improve the quality of life for all of us.
And there are 50 people from St. Peter's Morristown in the house tonight.
Good evening. My name is Pastor Sidney Williams. I serve the Bethel African Methodist Episcopal Church. Since 1843, this church has been a place for those who were enslaved right here in Morris County, New Jersey, a place where they could find freedom and wholeness, a place where Civil War veterans could come and become part of a community fighting for a better place and a better life. During the Great Migration from the South, families moved here in the search of warmer suns and found Bethel, the first African-American church in Morris County, as a sanctuary and a home. We continue to serve, and we are excited to be a part of New Jersey Together, in particular, Morris area together.
Good evening. My name is Minister Glenn King of Bethel of Morristown, and I'm proud to say tonight we've registered over 100 people for tonight's event.
Hello, I'm Sherry Anderson. I'm representing St. Mark Lutheran Church in Morristown. We expect to have between 20 and 25 representatives here tonight. We're very excited about housing in Morristown because we all think it is a problem and want to see what we can do to help correct it.
My name is Frankie Timmers, and I am the spiritual director at Center for Spiritual Living, Morristown, right on Mount Kimball Avenue in Morristown. And we have as our vision a world that works for everyone. So we are thrilled that we have 11 people registered for the May 10th NJ Together event.
Hello, I'm Rabbi Moshe Rudin. We are from Adat Shalom, a conservative synagogue in Parsippany.
11 of our congregants are on tonight, standing with Morris area together.
Whether housing, mental health,
or criminal justice teamwork,
we're committed to help bring about positive change.
Hi, I'm Reverend Allison Miller, the Senior Minister of the Morristown Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, a spiritually alive and justice-centered community. One faith with room for many beliefs. We are delighted to be one of the founders of Morris Area Together and to have 40 members here tonight.
I'm Reverend Luana Cook-Scott, and I serve as the Senior Pastor at Morristown United Methodist Church. Morristown UMC is an inclusive, reconciling congregation, and that simply means everyone is welcome in the name of our Lord. We are excited about the work of Morris Area Together to join efforts with others for works of mercy and justice.
Amen.
Thank you.
That is exciting. In addition to these 18 congregations and nonprofits, there are members of another 25 more congregations and nonprofits in the call tonight. Welcome. We are very glad you are here. We hope many of you will consider joining us in our work in the coming weeks and months.
We also want to recognize the elected and other officials from both parties who are here with us tonight. We have State Assemblyman Brian Bergen, Acting Morris County Prosecutor Robert Carroll, Morris County Commissioner Director Stephen Shaw, Morris County Sheriff Jim Gannon and staff, Mayor Tim Doherty, Morristown, Mayor Jeff Grazel, Morris Township, staff from the Office of Congresswoman Mikey Sherrill, and staff from the Office of Assemblywoman Ora Dunn. And so I'd like you all to just raise your hand, use your little hand signal so we all can see our public and other officials. If we let everyone know who you are, it would be just great. We'd like to see your smiling faces. Most of this list, if not all of them, have already met with us and or committed to meeting with us in the coming weeks. So we're very excited about that. So with this, I'd like to invite up Dr. Alonzo Perry, Reverend Dr. Alonzo Perry from Jersey City Together to welcome us to the New Jersey Together family. Reverend Perry.
Thank you so much. My name is Reverend Dr. Alonzo Perry Sr. I've been the pastor of the New Hope Baptist Church in Jersey City for over 23 years. I'm a board member of New Jersey Together and a key leader with Jersey City Together, which is a coalition of 35 religious congregations and nonprofits in Jersey City and Hudson County. At New Jersey Together, we are part of the oldest and the largest organizing network in the country, the Industrial Areas Foundation, with sister organizations across the country and across the world. Even though you're just starting out, you have 80 years of successful, nonpartisan, multi-faith organization to stand on. I still remember April 2016 at Old Bergen Church in Jersey City, not knowing what to expect, but excited that we were taking a stand for the citizens of Jersey City. All the meetings and the listening sessions paid off as we created the momentum that forced the mayor to order the revaluation of property taxes for the first time in over 28 years. What the critics and the pundits said could not be done happened. Since then, we have fought to have over $450 million reinvested in Jersey City public schools. We pushed Jersey City to commit to 35% affordable housing at Bayfront. We've had wins in public safety, COVID-19 testing and vaccines, and more. More than 2,000 people will be released from incarceration in large part because of our push around mandatory minimum sentencing. Our motto is simple: connect, act, win. Tonight, we are pleased to welcome into the fold Morris Area Together under the umbrella of IAF and New Jersey Together. In the words of the American financier and banker John Pierpont Morgan, the first step towards getting somewhere is to decide that you are not going to stay where you are. Thank you, Morris Area Together, for deciding that the time is now to realize that we can do more together than we can do apart. Welcome to New Jersey Together. I'll turn it over to Rabbi Michael Sachs.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Rabbi Michael Satz from Temple B'nai Or in Morristown. We at the Temple are inspired by all the hard work that our wider community of faith and nonprofit leaders have done to get us to this point. This is an evening of celebration and an evening of hope that we as a diverse community will make a difference so that the Morris area will be a more just place. A place where everyone can flourish, a place that we can all be proud to call home. Tonight is a night of action, not just words. We have 18 congregations and nonprofits here tonight. Over, let's say, close to 800 people pledging their readiness to work in a nonpartisan way on issues of common ground: mental health, criminal justice, and housing. We have talked to 2,400 people individually. We've heard their stories, listened to their visions of our community. We did all of this during a pandemic. This is the work that you all did. This work has brought members of my congregation together, rooted us deeper in this place we call home, and energized us to make a difference. It has also strengthened relationships. And I'm sure this is similar in all of your congregations too. We did this because we know, as part of New Jersey Together and the Industrial Areas Foundation, we need to build real power to create change. We need to bring people together, diverse institutions, find common ground, and press our leaders for change. We press our leaders, politicians, corporate leaders. They know how to count. They know what it means that our congregations represent thousands across Morris County. They know that we are pledging to work together consistently for the future. And tonight, we'll see that potential with the CEO of Motive Care here, the largest Medicaid transportation in the country that works with 150 transportation providers here in New Jersey. The Morris County prosecutor, in a county with some of the worst racial disparities in our state. And the mayor of Morristown and his primary opponent to talk about how we change the direction on housing affordability here. We hope these leaders will make real commitments, actions, not words, to work with us, make change, and begin to provide hope to our whole diverse community. But while we should celebrate all the work we've done here to get here, let's prepare ourselves for the work ahead as well. In a week, the Jewish community celebrates the Festival of Shavuot. This is the festival when we remember and reenact the people of Israel standing at Mount Sinai, 7 weeks after being miraculously taken out of slavery in Egypt. The people stood together at the foot of the mountain to verbally pledge to live a holy life of love and justice. The people pledged to create a beloved community. But it was not just words. We continually strive through our actions to live up to that pledge. All of us are making a pledge tonight, a pledge of actions, not just words. And so now it's my honor to introduce my colleague, our partner, Reverend Sidney Williams of Bethel AME Church in Morristown.
Thank you, Rabbi Satz. I have the unique privilege of serving as the senior pastor of the Bethel African Methodist Episcopal Church, the first congregation established by the daughter of an enslaved woman in Morris County. Her name was Frances Freeman Ray. And since our founding in 1843, Bethel has been committed to completing the unfinished work of providing sanctuary and hope for the marginalized and the oppressed in Morris County. Our ministries and programs have changed through the years, but our resolve is not. Tonight, I'm reminded of the words penned by James Weldon Johnson from the Negro National Anthem. Stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, felt in the days when hope unborn had died. I hope we remember these words as we launch Morris Area Together tonight. For more than 50 years, we have hoped that the promises of urban renewal and economic development will result in a more vibrant and diverse community. Instead, we've witnessed countless families struggle to find affordable housing as elected officials tell us to be patient. In 1967, nearly 100 homes and commercial buildings were demolished to make room for the headquarters plaza. This development project was supposed to be the anchor needed to fix the flooding in the Second Ward, build affordable housing, create employment opportunities for the local community. The jobs came and they left. Yet we're still waiting for a commitment we can depend on. Our waiting is not without hope. Amanda Gorman, the poet laureate who spoke so wonderfully at the inauguration, said, "Somehow we've weathered and witnessed." She said a nation, but tonight I say we've witnessed a community that isn't broken, but simply unfinished. So although we find ourselves in the place where others who came before us sighed, Tonight is imperative that we remain committed to their unfinished work. Morris Area Together is a renewed effort to organize our community organizations and to harvest what we have learned. As we listen to the words of public and corporate officials tonight, we hope to hear real commitments and then move to action. We need to see affordable housing built and preserved. We need to see racial disparities go down. We need to see better care for those who struggle with mental health and substance abuse issues. And this is the work we have ahead. This is why we are building power together. Tonight, let us remember the love and light of those who led the fight for promises of a beloved community. I want to call some names some of you may know, and it may come up on the screen. Tommy Alexander, Dorothy Broom, Jerry Diller, Mariah and Bill Haskell, George Kelly, Don Kuhn, Norman Lattimore, Richard Martin, William Primus, Dolly Grobstein, John Roth, Julia Kersey, Dr. Ernest Westmore, Dr. James Lassiter, Linda Stone, Mabel Robinson, Dale Grunner, Helen Kennedy, Bill Johnson, Jim Madigan, and we've had some dynamic clergy. Rabbi David Levy from Temple B'nai Or, the Reverend Alexander White from Bethel AME Church, and most recently, the Reverend Alfonso Sherrill, former president of NAACP. And who could forget the Reverend Theodore Goins from Bethel Madison, who led the NAACP during difficult times. And again, I leave us with these words from Amanda Gorham: we will not be turned around or interrupted by intimidation, because we know our inaction and inertia will be the inheritance of the next generation. Our blunders will become their burdens. And so tonight, I'm honored to introduce to you our friend Marnie Collar from the Presbyterian Church of Morristown.
Thank you, Reverend Williams. My name is Marnie Collar, and I am a member of the Presbyterian Church in Morristown. I have been serving on the mental health substance use team for Morris Area Together. Over the last several months, our team has continued to listen and has met virtually with nonprofits and government officials to get a better picture of what is currently happening in Morris County and what areas need actions for improvement or change. We learned that issues related to mental health and substance use were increasing here in Morris County, even before the pandemic, and the numbers are staggering. There has been a 10-fold increase in overdose, self-harm, and alcohol-related deaths since 1999, some of the worst numbers in the state. The work to address this will not be easy. Mental health affects every aspect of our lives. It will take work and advocacy on a host of issues, including criminal justice and housing, to push this forward. But tonight, we want to lift up two pieces that we can begin to address now as an organization. The first is equal access to treatment for mental health and behavioral health care. New Jersey has some strong laws on the books now. They are called parity laws. The problem is they are not being implemented. To the state assembly people here tonight, we really look forward to talking with you about this. When we listened again this fall inside our congregations, we heard over and over about people who need and want mental health care or substance use treatment who cannot get access to it. They cannot find a doctor. They cannot find someone who will take their insurance. If this sounds like you or someone you love, please let us know at the end of tonight in the poll that comes up. We will follow up and keep your story strictly anonymous. However, if the state actually enforced or strengthened these laws, many of the stories would not even happen. We have leverage to get it done. The second issue is even more tangible. During our listening campaign and in our research meetings, we heard repeatedly about one company, Logisticare, now called Motive Care, and how their service resulted in people missing appointments, being late to appointments, and being stranded for hours while waiting for a ride. I want to invite Melissa Lopinski to tell her story.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Marnie. My name is Melissa Lopinski, and I'm a leader with Neighbors in Need at Drew University. As some of you know, Logisticare, now MotoCare, provides transportation for those on Medicaid. It is one of the largest companies in the country doing this kind of work. This is a particularly important issue in a place like Morris County that is so spread out and has very little public transportation. A few years ago, I got to experience Logisticare firsthand. It was awful. More than once, it resulted in me missing an appointment. I was enrolled in a mental health intensive outpatient at St. Clair's Boonton campus, and I reside in Long Valley. I had to utilize Logisticare at this time to get to and from Boonton. I would often be late, and the program even threatened to terminate me due to my late arrivals. I also have had issues after my appointment, often waiting several hours to be picked up to be taken home. When I would be brought home, there would be many other clients in the car, dropped off way out of the way from where I was going, delaying me even further. At this time, I critically needed this mental health care. And due to these issues, it really made it difficult to be present and get the care I needed. I'm not the only one that thinks this. In my work at Neighbors in Need and with others, I've heard the same story repeated, including just last month, one of my colleagues' mothers was late and was not picked up for her dialysis appointments multiple times in just one single week because of MotoCare. We've heard the same story from nonprofits here in Morris County, from Nourish New Jersey, from the Mental Health Association of Essex and Morris, from organizations that serve people returning home from jail and prison. These organizations are spending money that should go to other services on transportation, that should go to these other services on transportation to get people the care they need because they cannot rely on MotoCare. So I am glad tonight that the CEO of the company, Mr. Greenleaf, is here. And I hope after tonight, we see more than words. We see action. I hope we see MotoCare improve their services here in Morris County so that my story and stories like it don't happen again. Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. Because of stories like this, we reached out to Motive Care and to their CEO, Daniel Greenleaf. He and his team responded immediately. I want to thank you publicly for your response and for meeting with us so quickly and for taking this work seriously. When we met with Mr. Greenleaf and other executive officials from Motive Care, we appreciated their agreement with us that the stories we had heard are absolutely unacceptable. They committed to work with us to improve the services of Motive Care. Mr. Greenleaf also agreed to come tonight and share his commitments in public. So Mr. Greenleaf, please come up. We have 3 questions for you tonight. These will make public the commitments you and your team have shared with us in private. Let's get started. We are asking you to answer 3 questions with a simple yes or no, and then we will offer you 3 minutes to share with us what you would like. First, are you committed to assigning a high-level executive to continue working with Morris Area Together and other nonprofits to address these issues?
Yes, and that's why you have Chris Eccles and Kenny on the phone as well, but Chris is the local liaison, who's the executive vice president of the Northeast.
Thank you. And we have met with him once, and we look forward to meeting with him further. Will you create a pilot program that will improve responses and address complaints here in Morris County and in New Jersey as a whole?
Of course we will.
Will you meet with us again in the coming months to assess progress, track improvements, and identify other necessary changes?
Yes, collaboratively we will.
Wonderful. Everyone, give a big virtual round of applause. We look forward to the work ahead, and we would like to offer you 3 minutes to share your hopes for this partnership and what improvements in services you anticipate happening with Motive Care in Morris County and New Jersey.
Yeah, I don't, again, I've got Kenny and Chris, and I know they have some things they'd like to comment on, but folks, just setting the record straight. I mean, listen, we will never be perfect. And if you guys are expecting perfection out of me or our company, it's just not possible. And that all being said, there isn't a company out here today that's addressing the inequities of care that we are. We elevate people, we uplift people. We're familiar with the food deserts, the pharmacy deserts, the vaccine deserts, and many of you probably don't appreciate this, the broadband deserts. And we know what redlining means, and we know what it's meant to these communities over the years. And so, I'm a little surprised, to be honest with you, about what just transpired, because I went into this with, I think, a collaborative mindset, and I'm still there. But listen, folks. I mean, I don't think there's a company out there that is more socially responsible, that does more with community-based organizations, whether that be with transportation providers, with call centers, with personal care aides than we do. And we're obviously in the center of, the mental health issue. We bring millions of people to their mental health visits every year. And again, we're not perfect. I will certainly be the first to say that, but we're committed to this. And you need a company like ours with our resources and people to really address these social determinants of health. And we started on a transportation path when I got here in December of 19, and we're now in the areas of personal care, where activities of daily living. We delivered over 2 million meals to people in New Jersey during COVID, pro bono. And I just want you to know, listen, folks, we're committed. And if that's ever any question about our commitment, you're barking up the wrong tree. And we're here to do good. We believe in our mission. We are here to address the inequities in care. And I'll stop there, and I'll turn it over to either Kenny or Chris.
Okay, thanks, Dan. And folks, we really appreciate you having us here. We're proud of the partnership we've had with the state Medicaid agency. To Dan's point, we're not perfect, but we complete almost 15,000 trips per day, many of those in Morris County. And we value the feedback that you're giving us. That's how we know when there are issues that we need to address. Just to give you a very brief example, we had a similar issue in Camden County with a couple of high-rise buildings where they brought some issues to us. And we addressed those through some pilot programs, working with the social workers in the building and with the local transportation providers. And we're committed to doing the same thing in Morris County.
Thank you very much. And we really do appreciate your commitment to improving all of this. We do have to move on because we have criminal justice next, and Reverend Glenn King will report on that to us.
Thank you very much. And that's Minister Glenn King. And it's good to be with you all tonight. And my name is Minister Glenn King, and I am a leader at Bethel AME of Morristown, New Jersey. As many of you have heard, Morris Areas Together's criminal justice work began last summer, listening to 200 people who had been directly impacted by the criminal justice system in Morris County. We heard repeated stories of overcharging. We heard stories of mistreatment. We heard from people in my congregation who should have been diverted to addiction treatment programs, but were instead pushed towards state prison, horror story after horror story after horror story. Because of those stories, we looked at the public data. We found that Black people in Morris County were 22 times as likely to be in state prison as white people. 22 times, that's worse than in any other state. And when we acted, helping the last prosecutor along to retirement and ensuring a new prosecutor was appointed. Since that time, we have worked to build a relationship with Morris County's new acting prosecutor, Robert Carroll. I'll be honest, there was some tension in the rooms and in our meetings, but tension is healthy, particularly given the numbers we have uncovered, and we can't stop at an organization and as an organization until we see those numbers change. That's the work of organizing. And in the last few months, our team has met 4 times with Prosecutor Carroll in large groups and around specific issues. That's the hard work of building a relationship and trust. We have further to go, but his office has started taking action. So tonight, we hope to show publicly that the start of a healthy, public, and accountable relationship with Prosecutor Carroll, and we want to do that by sharing in public some of the commitments we have made together in private. And Morris Area Together has made a commitment to him as well. We have made a commitment to keep an open door, to share issues when we see them, and to meet regularly. So Prosecutor Carroll, please come up.
I'm here.
We have a few questions we'd like you to respond yes or no to. And then we'll give you 3 minutes to address the people here tonight about the work you're doing in your office. First, do you agree to provide an open door policy with Morris Area Together, religious congregations, and other nonprofits, particularly those who serve the most vulnerable, so that mitigating factors can be raised directly with your office?
I've done it my entire career, sir. Absolutely, yes.
Do you agree that the clear racial disparities we discussed with you have to change and to work with us in concrete, measurable ways to bring those down?
We will work with you, we'll work with other groups to work on any racial disparities. We are committed to eradicate racial discrimination.
Thank you, sir. Will you have your team attend a research meeting with us and with the Vera Institute for Justice that has analyzed racial disparities data, working in partnership with other prosecutor offices so that we can both learn from this work and apply less here in Morris County?
As you may be aware, Minister King, we have already met with your group. We have been conducting, since I was first apprised of this issue, we have already met with your group and provided preliminary information of our own internal processes and analysis. We are continuing that. And as soon as it's completed, we're going to share the data with you. If you would like to introduce an expert or someone that is a vetted expert in this area,
we'll give you 3 minutes to respond, to whatever you want to respond to. But we ask you again, will you have your team attend a research meeting with us, with the Vera Institute for Justice that has analyzed racial disparities data, working in partnership with other prosecutor officers so that we can both learn from this work and apply these lessons here in Morris County? Yes or no?
We will work. Lawyers can't say yes or no. We will work with you. Yes, sir.
Thank you. As you know, we have made clear the importance of crisis intervention team training for police, and pointing out that Morris County is one of the only counties left in the state of New Jersey that does not provide this training. We know you've already started to act on this. Do you agree that this CIT, critical incidents training, must now continue, be expanded, and involve more police officers across Morris County?
I am happy to report that even before we were approached by New Jersey Together, having learned that we were one of 2 counties that were not involved in this, I immediately got us involved. And I'm happy to say that we are actually have officers right now being trained. They will be trained. They will be continue to be trained through the summer. And I believe in the fall, there will be a big pitch for this. Yes, sir. Total agreement on that point.
Thank you, Prosecutor Carroll. This is worthy of celebrating. We have real work to do to make this real and to bring these disparities down in real measurable ways. You know that for me, that this is the most important part of our work together. I hope and believe this will be a step in the right direction. Now, Prosecutor Carroll, we'd like to invite you to address the people here tonight and to share the work you're already doing and the work you plan to do ahead.
Thank you, Minister.
Yes, sir.
We are, as the minister said, and as I have already indicated, we are working on all of these items that have been discussed. I'm particularly proud of our grabbing the crisis intervention team early on and working on that. In regard to tonight, first of all, I'm really I want to commend the organization for pulling together this many diverse groups and allowing us and giving us the honor of addressing all of you. I want everyone to understand that I am committed to work with your group. We're working with several different groups to eradicate racial discrimination in any form and any process. With regard to criminal justice, since I've been here for the last 7 months, we have reached out to many different groups and have tried to establish lines of communication that we think are going to be important for the future and that will aid in our communicating so that when issues are identified, we can address them quickly and efficiently. We've had meetings with several major organization leaders, and we are introducing now to the police communities, and we want to also, with your help, introduce it to the communities themselves, the kind of work that we're doing with introducing the Attorney General's new directives, which address many of the issues that we feel contribute to some of the basis for racial discrimination. The new Juvenile Justice Directive, the Use of Force Directive, the directive involving the decriminalization of marijuana. These are just some of the particular directives that we're working on. I'd like to, if I could, just to show how much we've been committed and what we've accomplished even in the last 7 months. Frank, if you could just quickly flash, I know time is precious, but if you could flash some of the slides that we've produced, and I'd like them to be just made part of the record for your group. They can look at it at their leisure later. If you could show the next one. I believe there's 4 total. And the next one, please. I'd also like to point out on this particular slide, one of the things that I have a personal commitment to is mental health. I think it plays an enormous role in criminal justice. And I think it's a role that finally is getting the attention it deserves. We have formed a mental health working group now with approximately 20 different organizations working towards coming up with solutions and preparing something called the Mental Health Toolkit, which will be provided to police officers and first responders so that they will be better trained and better skilled at dealing with persons that might be undergoing some mental health event or stress at the time. I believe very strongly in that. Several of the items that you see there refer directly to our mental health efforts. Frank, if you could show the next slide, please. Likewise in this just outlines some of the individual things that we're doing with some of the directives that, again, if I had more time, I could explain in more detail, but what we're going to do is provide certain directives as links so that you all may download it at your convenience and read them. I apologize. I wish we had more time, but let me just say this in closing. I'm the new prosecutor. I will be looking at everything that I possibly can to get to the root of some of these issues that have been long-standing. And I pledge to all of you that we will do everything. I'm very proud of this office. I know in the past there's been issues, and I believe now with the management team and the administration I've put in place, we can do things that maybe haven't been done before. So I want you to know that we will do this together, and I ask for the community support. And thank you for allowing us to address you tonight.
Thank you. I'm going to now would like to introduce Helen Zamora Bustos. We'll take it from here. And thank you, Prosecutor Carroll.
Me están llamando. Can you hear me properly? Sí. Thank you. I'm sorry about that. I have some room. I have a room full of people, as you can see. So connection is a little wonky. Anyway, thank you, Minister King. I am Helen Zamora Bustos, and I'm an organizer with One of the Spirit. Since the organization was founded nearly 20 years ago, now as part of Morris Area Together, housing has consistently been one of the most common issues we have heard about in this community. This is a real crisis in Morris County. Before the pandemic, more than 25,000 families were in severe housing stress across the county. People of every race, ethnicity, and various economic backgrounds, not just low income. The pandemic has made this worse. Right now, more than 10,000 families in Morris County are months behind on their rent, losing sleep over the possibility of eviction. At Wind of the Spirit, we see this every day. We hear about people who are being threatened and intimidated by their landlords. Essential repairs are poorly patched up, refused, or just plain ignored. We actually know of a woman who was locked out of her apartment while recovering from COVID after childbirth. Her things were thrown right outside the door. Some have left their apartments during the pandemic, even though they didn't have to, just because they didn't feel safe. Here in Morristown, some landlords push people out because they know that if they do, they can raise their rents to extremely high prices. Even though I work every day in Morris County, mainly in Morristown, I can't afford to live here. My husband and I found ourselves in Sussex County while looking for affordability. Our 6-year-old daughter, who was diagnosed with autism at the age of 3, is deprived from better schools with appropriate programs for her because that represents a commute of 1 hour plus each way on her already long day. Her therapies and additional services to help her thrive are all located in Morris County. This is true for thousands others who are the backbone of our community: teachers, teachers' assistants, nurses, public workers, service workers, and nonprofit workers. All live far away because they can't afford to live here. For those that do live here, many are forced to choose substandard housing. This has to change, and tonight is the beginning of our work to achieve that goal together. I'm going to pass it off to Hannah Oppenheimer. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Hannah Oppenheimer, Advocacy Coordinator at Morris Habitat for Humanity. Right now, we are working with the Morris Housing Alliance to push for the implementation of a homeless trust fund. But as we know in organizing, to get something done, it's going to take work and a push to make it happen. So what is a homeless trust fund and why is it needed? As you've heard, the issue of homelessness and affordable housing has only been made more pressing by the current pandemic. Despite the efforts of our county and many other partners in the room tonight, the rate of homelessness is not going down in our county. The Homeless Trust Fund is a simple step that our county commissioners can take that will create a flexible, dependable revenue source that can respond to the immediate needs of our specific county. It can contribute to our county's well-being to fulfill our obligation to care for those most in need. Already, 12 counties in New Jersey have successfully implemented a homeless trust fund. So this fund has 2 purposes. Number 1 is to support people who are already homeless right now. These are people who don't have a roof over their head. And the second purpose of the fund is to prevent at-risk people from becoming homeless. So this includes those vulnerable to eviction, in unstable housing, unable to make rent or mortgage payments, returning citizens, domestic violence victims, etc. There's a longer fact sheet in the chat that details how these funds would work, but basically, by adding a $3 to $5 fee on some documents filed at the county courthouse, it would create about $200,000 for the fund each year. The Homeless Trust Fund is very flexible and it meets the needs of each county. So, as you can see, there are several ways in which the funds are allowed to be used. Number one is the acquisition, construction, or rehabilitation of housing units. Number two is for rental assistance. Number three, supportive services. So that includes counseling, financial literacy, and job placement. And lastly, funds can go towards prevention services like evictions counseling, tenant landlord mediation, translation services, foreclosure prevention, and more. To get this done, Morris County Commissioners are going to have to vote to approve the creation of one of these funds. This should be a nonpartisan issue, and we know that investing in homelessness prevention will actually save taxpayers money in the long run. We plan to have a longer briefing about this fund, how it works, and more as we prepare to push this publicly. So all of us on this call, we are the people who can make this happen. We have a collective voice and the potential to better our communities. Towards the end of this Zoom call, a poll will come up. Please tell us if you will sign the petition to our county commissioners to implement this fund, and if you're willing to join us in the work to press them to do so. We're going to need all of our collective support and advocacy to get this done, so join us. I'm going to now pass the baton to Reverend Allison Miller.
Hello, all. It is wonderful to see so many people here with us tonight. I just want to share a little bit about expectations. We are running close to our original time, which was 1 hour and 15 minutes to 8:45, but we do ask you to stay on a few minutes after. After all, we are addressing 3 of the largest issues that Morristown and Morris County are facing tonight. And I actually think it's pretty impressive we're running close to on time when we're talking about increasing access to health care, reducing the extreme racial disparities in criminal justice, and now we're about to begin talking about affordable housing and the need for more affordable housing in our communities. So thank you. Thank you, Hannah, for your work and the work of the Morris Housing Alliance. And we look forward to seeing this trust fund through. For those that haven't met me before, I'm Reverend Allison Miller from the Morristown UU Fellowship, and very glad to be here tonight and to be speaking about affordable housing. As you heard from Helen, housing issues in Morris County as a whole have reached a breaking point. But as we come towards the end of our event tonight, we're going to zoom in on the town of Morristown. We've chosen Morristown not because there isn't work to do in other places around housing, there is, and we plan to do it. But Morristown is the place where many of our congregations and organizations are based. It's where many of our members live, and the housing crisis is unfortunately much, much worse here. In Morristown alone, more than 2,500 families had trouble covering their housing costs before the pandemic. That's 1/3 of the town where so many of us live, having trouble paying for housing. And over half of those families, listen to this, pay 50% or more of their income on housing alone. When we held our listening campaign, the issue of housing came up as a top issue for every single one of the congregations that are based here. We heard many stories of longtime residents being pushed out by landlords just so they could raise rent, stories of children who wanted to stay here but being forced to leave or living on their parents' couches. Stories of people who work here in our stores and restaurants, churches, nonprofits, and even large businesses unable to afford to live here. And the numbers back this up. The median income in Morristown has almost doubled in recent years from $60,000 to $100,000 per year. The number of Black residents living in Morristown has dropped by 60% in recent decades, 60%. We are seeing working class and middle class people being forced out of Morristown by rising costs. This is dissonant with this multiracial, diverse, socioeconomic, religiously diverse community we live in. And what is worse, opportunities for affordable housing are passing us by. If you look at Morristown's fair share agreement, an agreement that lays out where new affordable housing will be built in the coming years, a portion of those plans have either been changed or haven't been followed through on. M Street Station, for example, was supposed to deliver 48 new affordable housing units to the town, but now new high-end office buildings are planned on most of the site with no housing as part of the project yet. Other plans have been reduced or shelved. So let's just say it clearly. Morristown is in a housing crisis. It's a housing crisis that has gotten worse. And given the scale, we're going to need our town's elected and appointed leaders to step up. We're going to need more proactive and more courageous leadership to move this issue forward. The future of our town depends on it. So tonight, we're going to address the leader of Morristown, Mayor Tim Doherty, and a potential leader of our town, Esperanza Porras-Field, who is running for mayor about this issue. Now, I want to make this clear. We are a nonpartisan organization. This isn't a debate. We've asked both leaders to focus on the issue of housing, not on each other. We've asked both to be specific, and we want to hear from both of them about what concretely they will do to show this kind of courageous leadership and how they will lead in this crisis in which we find ourselves. And how will they overcome the obstacles they have seen and have in front of them? And are they committed to working with us to get it done? Our goal tonight is real, accountable relationship with both leaders. And we'll start with Mayor Doherty. Welcome, Mayor Doherty. We're so glad you're here.
Thank you.
Here's our first question. Please share with us some of the obstacles you see and have faced in addressing affordable housing needs in our town. And what are your concrete plans to overcome them and to lead on this issue in the remainder of your term and in the next if you're elected? And we're going to give you 3 minutes.
Okay, now I've been practicing this, Reverend. I got to 3 minutes and 30 seconds. So it's not easy. I probably needed about 20 minutes, but I'll take the 3 minutes the best I can. Thank you to the program organizers for inviting me here this evening. When taking office in 2010, Morristown had no affordable housing policy in place. Since then, we've accomplished the following. We've established Morristown's first affordable housing plan. We've established Morristown's Affordable Housing Trust Fund, which has collected $2.5 million as of date, and a total of $830,000 has already been put to work by local nonprofits and our housing authority. We now have a balance of $1.5 million. In about 90 seconds, I'll discuss what we can do with those dollars. We quickly came into compliance with Fair Share Housing Center and the court system with a clear plan to create affordable housing opportunities by redeveloping belated properties. Morristown also enforces an aggressive rent control program, which currently regulates 2,050 rental units in Morristown. That's almost 1 in 4 of all households in Morristown. Since taking office in 2010, Morristown has gained 156 new affordable housing units. To put this in perspective, assuming that each unit value was $200,000, it's $31.2 million in our affordable housing portfolio. We also have a plan to produce another 89 units, which will bring us by 2025 to 245 affordable units created with a value of about $50 million. While many of these units were built by private developers, we could not have accomplished this without key nonprofit partners. We'd like to thank and recognize Habitat for Humanity and Homeless Solutions. Together, they have created 67 new and rehabilitated units. The Morristown Housing Authority is transforming under the new leadership of Keith Kennard. The MHA has made major upgrades to approximately 20% of their portfolio over the last 3 years. The town contributed $250,000 towards these improvements. In the next coming year, they will enter a long-term RAD agreement. This year will create 3 opportunities. $125 million in physical improvements will be funded. Second, the shift focus to human needs. Partner with social service organizations to serve our seniors and children, which the authority does not currently have. Third, build capacity for future investment. The MHA will soon be positioned to lead the way as a key partner in the development of new 100% affordable projects in Morristown. When I came into office in Morristown, we had 50 affordable units built in about 20 years. That's outside the federally funded housing authority. As you have heard now, by 2025, we will have 245 units built. That is 5 times the amount that was built over in 20 years, now built in 12 years. The affordable set aside in multifamily projects was 3%. It is now 13% and will continue to grow. To continue the progress, my administration implemented an ordinance requiring projects with more than 5 units to make at least 15% of these affordable. Recent deposits into our trust fund from the projects like M Station, the first building alone will contribute nearly $1 million of affordable housing, will allow us to accomplish a few key things. In the coming weeks, I will announce an eviction prevention program that deploys our affordable assistance funds. We are anticipating the fallout from the end of the eviction moratorium and want to be ready. 2, Morristown will work to create a new position within Town Hall to focus on overseeing existing affordable units, our rehabilitation program, and administering direct assistance programs. 3, I will direct my attorney to develop a financial incentive to fund improvements in rent control apartments for when people move out. We will help fund the repairs and the improvements and ask the landlords to keep them at the same rate of rent control, no increase. We will continue to support the Housing Authority RAD program, and whenever allowed by law, I will create new residency preferences, affordable units for Morristown, existing low-income households, unlike this current state mandates of a 3-county lottery for all affordable units. As discussed with these program organizers, Morristown will pursue any available federal, state, and county funds for housing and supporting unhoused individuals. We will continue to maintain and enforce our rent control program. We will continue to keep property taxes stable, which allows seniors to age in place on fixed incomes. I see your organization as an important partner as we advance these projects and programs. Your support will be critical. Thank you so much for giving me a little over 3 minutes to. There's a whole lot more, Reverend, but we'll talk another day about it.
Well, I'll just say this, we want to meet with you again.
Yes.
And thank you for the specificity. I heard the nuance that Fair Share says you're out of compliance, and I heard you say you're in compliance. I heard some wonderful concrete ideas and about the partnerships with Habitat and Homeless Solutions. Here's the question I have for you, Mayor, which is that you are a leader who has been in office for 12 years, which means that you have relationships that you can build upon. And at the same time, in the last 12 years, we've noticed African Americans continuing to leave our community because, in part, they tell us because of affordability around housing. And we noticed that 1/3 of our community is struggling. So here's a question. Will you commit to working even harder if reelected, to address that so that we can reduce the fact that a third of our residents are struggling to live here?
Absolutely.
Great. Important. And then I also want to ask if you would commit specifically to working with Morris area together, and if you're reelected, to move the issue of building and preserving housing forward in Morristown.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And thank you for being here tonight.
No, thank you all for doing what you're doing.
And now moving on to Esperanza Porras Field. Ms. Esperanza Porras Field, we recognize that you're in a different position.
That's correct.
And we want to, we believe it's also critical that someone running for office be ready to lead and to show us how you would do so courageously. And we want to make sure that if elected, you will work with us. So we are not looking backward in terms of the obstacles in the past and the opportunities in the past, but we are looking forward with you. Please share with us from your vantage point, what are the obstacles to addressing the affordable housing needs in Morristown? And if elected mayor, what are the concrete plans that you are imagining to overcome them and lead? And we will also offer you 3 minutes.
Thank you, Reverend, and thank you for the opportunity to be part of this forum, and to all the organizations that are present here today, and for the beautiful table in diversity and inclusion that you presented at the beginning. First of all, let me talk to you a little bit about the obstacles that we're facing, starting from critical social, economic, environmental problem facing the urban communities and affordable housing. For example, the growth of the population and the concentration of persons of low income, lacking public and private investment and reinvestment in housing and other physical facilities. The growth of disadvantaged urban conditions has led to marked deterioration in these communities, making people and developers accountable. We must recognize racial disparities, diversity and inclusion related to business, housing, public and social services. I can give you some ideas that I have or recommendations. For instance, streamline the process, make it transparent. I don't see any transparent right now. Increase private investments, take control of the award process of Mount Laurel units. We don't know how the process really works. It's a secret. Oversee the lottery, determine the unmet units and around fair share of housing blooming for the 2025. Involve the private sector, nonprofits, and community organizations. Make the process inclusive of race and socioeconomic status. Stop allowing developers to displace their affordable housing obligations with residential development. Tailor policies towards local goals and market conditions. Also increase the supply of long-term affordable housing. Dedicate a department to monitor the affordable housing unit inventory. In order to have a clear process into the future, I plan to involve the community by creating a community advisory council as well. In closing, I'd like to remind you that the Housing and Community Development Act of 1974 is a United Federal law that, among other provisions, amended the Housing Act of 1937 to create Section 8 housing. This is important. This law authorizes the authority for community grants that we are not really utilizing, and that's why the census is important. To be aware by the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, which will request more federal assistance and go after those grants. At the present, there has been lack of leadership in the issue of affordable housing. The mayor, I asked the mayor how is that he claimed to be a champion of affordable housing when the average renter pays almost $3,400 per year more than the stage of average. How you can make these claims. We need to create affordable opportunities for all income levels. As you say, the Afro-American population decreased over system in the past years. I will bring my leadership, team, and real estate expertise and experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Esperanza Porras-Field, for being here and sharing the ideas that you have around affordable housing going forward. And now I have a second question to ask you as well. Are you committed to working with Morris Area Together now, and if you are reelected, to move the issue of building and preserving affordable housing forward in Morristown?
Absolutely. I have track record of working with community organizations at the local level, as well as state and national leaders. It is important to me to take action on affordable house, and especially to be and have transparency in the process. As the rabbis say, indeed, this is an evening of celebration, hope, and will create change.
Thank you. So as we orient ourselves, later you're going to have an opportunity to choose which task force you might like to participate in and hear more about. And I just want to, I could say this about all three, but I'm dealing with housing now. So let me just say this. We are in an untenable situation with our housing, and it is a question of moral injustice. And we really have a duty to rectify the situation for the sake of the well-being of our entire community, or the character of our community will change. And what's more than that, families are in deep pain because of the struggles they find themselves in. And so it's important that we recognize that there is something not right about how we got here in terms of housing, and that we all must commit to holding leaders accountable as we move forward to turn the tide. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Reverend Sarah Green, who is going to share our closing call to action.
Thank you.
Thank you, Allison. And thank you to all of you for your attention so far tonight. We are nearing the end of our time together. While I was in seminary, several of my mentors shared with me the adage that as a pastor and a preacher, my role is to comfort the afflicted and to afflict the comfortable. And it strikes me that our work as Morris Area Together is very much the same. Our goal is greater equity, justice, and quality of life, comfort for those in our community afflicted by disparities in our criminal justice system, by unaffordable housing, and by mental health and substance use issues. We know, though, that comfort tends to breed complacency, and complacency is the enemy of the justice we seek. To build the community we want, then, we also purposefully afflict the comfortable, ourselves included, by creating the kind of tension that impels positive change. We've spoken a lot of words here tonight and heard important promises. And while words matter greatly, they aren't enough. What we need is not words, but action. It will take action to build and preserve real affordable housing here in Morristown and in other towns across Morris County. It will take action to change the culture at the Morris County Prosecutor's Office and to reduce the stark racial disparities we've heard about. It will take action to improve services at Motive Care that for years have caused pain for our neighbors. That action will be uncomfortable and inconvenient at times for the leaders who have spoken here tonight. It may be uncomfortable and inconvenient for some of the rest of us too. But we build power together, because together we can push our public and corporate officials to change their behavior and to respond intentionally to the cries of pain in their communities. Together, we can do what is uncomfortable and inconvenient. There's a famous and beloved story in the Christian tradition known as the Good Samaritan. Through it, Jesus explains who to consider our neighbor and what it means to love them. A man traveling the road from Jerusalem to Jericho falls into the hands of robbers who brutalize him and leave him for dead. In succession, a priest and a Levite see the man and pass by him on the other side of the road. Then a Samaritan, an enemy to the Israelite people of the day, stops, binds the man's wounds, brings him to an inn, and takes care of him. Now, the priest and the Levite were both teachers of the law and leaders of worship in the temple. They would have been powerful men of great words who both knew and taught God's commandments to assist their neighbors. Yet in this moment, they did not convert their words into actions. They chose not to endure the discomfort and inconvenience of turning aside from their own plans and priorities in order to respond to the cries and the very real need of the man right in front of them. The Samaritan, however, did. He heard the man in need and he responded with compassionate, concrete action. To love our neighbors as ourselves requires not words, but actions. During our listening campaign and in all our work since, we have heard the cries of people in our community who are right now lying along the sides of our roads. Now is the time for our leaders and for each one of us to convert the words spoken here tonight into action. In just a moment, a poll will come up on your screen to ask you to make a series of commitments. It asks, you are seeing it now, will you help us hold the leaders here tonight accountable? Will you stand with us as we press for a county homelessness trust fund? And will you invite others to join you? Will you join one of our teams working on these issues? And if you have one, will you share your story or the story of those you love struggling to access mental health care so that we can press for changes statewide? I would invite you to show your commitment by responding to these questions on the poll, because now is the time when we choose to be people of not just words, but action. Now is the time when we decide to take the uncomfortable step of turning aside from the road we thought we were traveling, and instead to act for the well-being of ourselves, our neighbors, our friends, and our community. So take a moment now to mark off your answers to this poll. And we thank you for your willingness to join us in this work and to see where it leads. I'm hoping everyone can see the poll. And I will go ahead and pass to Father Hernan Arias, who will pray us out of this action.
Muy buenas noches a todos. Good evening, everyone. Let us pray. Padre Santo, Padre de amor, esta noche ha sido una noche de Pascua, noche de resurrección, es noche de esperanza. 800 personas hemos escuchado este mensaje. Hemos escuchado sobre el dolor del que está afligido, del que sufre, del que no tiene dónde vivir, del que pasa hambre, de aquel que necesita una verdadera y auténtica justicia sin discriminación. Son los derechos, Señor, del ser humano, de una mejor salud, de una vivienda asequible, pero también de una justicia verdadera. Padre Santo, te pedimos tu bendición sobre cada uno de nosotros, pero también sobre nuestros hermanos políticos, los que sirven nuestro pueblo, las instituciones que quieren servir y comprometerse con nosotros y se van a comprometer, para que tu Espíritu nos guíe y en esta noche, Señor, tú nos des el poder para poder llevar a cabo esta gran obra, que ya no es más palabras, sino acción. Por eso, Señor, derrama tu Espíritu Santo sobre cada uno de nosotros, para que inspirados por la parábola del buen samaritano, nos hagamos también nosotros samaritanos para el prójimo, en especial para el necesitado. Bendícenos y continúa derramando sobre nosotros tu amor y tu perdón. Ahora I invite now Reverend Frankie Timers to continue in the spirit of prayer.
And so here we are, from the many to the one, and from the one to the many, where we have woven words into action, and now we move into service for the greater good, from the spirit of love and compassion within us. We remember always to go to the well of love and compassion, for when we serve with a full heart, we create a world that works for everyone. And so we behold the vision that is a vision of manifesting, making a difference, and serving all of humanity, where each of us get to share our own personal talents and gifts and make a difference to the Morris area community. With awe and gratitude, we let this prayer become so real that each of us are inspired with every breath, every heartbeat, and every action. And so it is. Amen. Thank you, everyone, for being part of this amazing launch and for making yourself and your voice be heard, for being of service and for being present tonight. We will keep in touch with you, and we are available to answer any questions. Have a beautiful evening.